All right, well, at this point, let's welcome in the other member of our team. Mario Melchiot is joining us. But, Luis, let me start with you on this one, just because you were sat right beside Maka. And it's not often we see him that incensed. He was so angry, he stormed off at one point, and you were left behind.
Not at one point. He just left, period.
He just left after. He said what he had to say about Vinny, and he left. But we want to separate the two incidents that we're talking about Vinny Jr. There was, of course, firstly, the reaction that he had when he was substituted off. And then later we'll get into the reaction of what we thought of his involvement in the little post-match tiff with some of the Barcelona players. But firstly, to him being subbed off and even seeing Xavi's body language towards him, what did you make of it? This is not what we want to see when we thought Vinny had matured by now.
Yeah, we were talking before the game about that situation. We thought that Vinny Jr. was maturing, was understanding that he's not anymore the main player of the team, that is a collective team, that you need to win trophies together with the rest of the players. And this kind of moments, we put them back. And, well, he was actually having a pretty nice game. He was important in the first 45. Maybe in the second half wasn't involved that much. And I think that that's why he was frustrated, because the team could see that he was really getting closer to win the game, El Clasico, after 4 defeats last year. And he kind of got frustrated and wanted to show it this way. And again, I think the Maka expressed it very well. It's not a moment to complain. It's a moment to enjoy, to give the option to another player. You are talking about players in Real Madrid, so every one of them is a top-class player, and he's going to try to make the best. So you are kind of disrespect the players who is joining the team. Is disrespectful also for the manager who takes the decisions. So in the end, it's something that we don't want to see, or at least we don't want to see often. It happens at some point, but it was quite sad to see it. After we saw when he came back, probably someone talked to him and tried to make them understand what is the situation. And now they try to put them on. I saw that they make a kind of a statement on social media, not talking about this, talking about the game and talking about the situation, but no kind of apologizing by his behavior, something that I will have appreciated, but I'm not one to say anything about it. So I'm just don't like to see these kind of things happening, and much more when you are winning the El Clasico after a long time.
Yeah, Ale, Luis is right. We'll get to his statement in a bit, but that was him talking about what happened with some of the Barcelona bench after the game. But he hasn't addressed or taken accountability that once again being subbed off, you're not showing the right thing, especially towards a new manager who has made it very well known that he's not afraid to make decisions against you if come to be.
Right, and even beyond that, if Vinny wants to make it about Vinny, okay, fine. That's what you choose to do, so be it. But what he loses sight of is now we're talking about bad Vinny. We're not talking about how good he was in the game and how good he was in the first half and how he was taking players on and how he was creating opportunities and how he was taking advantage of the 1v1 situations and how that relationship with Mbappe seems to evolve and seems to be moving in the correct direction for him, for Mbappe, and for Real Madrid. We're not talking about any of that. And so it actually backfires. Vinny, it backfired. All of this, now we're talking about your behavior, not your playing. And that is a part that I don't know if these players have somebody in their lives that they trust, that really can get in their ear, and somebody who sits them down and says, Vinny, see, now the conversation is not about your playing. Now the conversation is about your behavior, about what you said, what you didn't say, the arms, the this, the that, the fact that you're storming into the locker room. You are doing yourself, Vinny, you are doing yourself harm. You are harming your career. You're harming your image that you worked so hard to build. You are the one who's hurting it because of your behavior. And in an environment, in a platform like El Clasico, where you were playing so well, you could have elevated your status and elevated your profile and elevated your career in a positive way. He chose to do in a negative way.
Mario, if you're Vinny's teammates, if you saw your teammates storming off like this to being subbed off after, what was a good game, what's your reaction? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think what the guy said, you understand, like it's always sad for the team that things like this happen. But the other part, we also have to understand he's an emotional kid, I think we all had that also as individuals, but I think you got to be smarter. I think Vinny wasn't really smart in the way he came off. You know, sometimes we feel it and we have our mind thinking about something that we don't agree with the manager, that his choices and stuff like that. And we highlighted already, I watched the game too, and I enjoyed the way he played. It was so difficult. Like, I was watching the game and thinking like, Vinny, I don't want to play against you. But then you're going to do that? I'm like, why are you doing that? Because in a way, if you not agree with something as an individual, I always think go into the dressing room and take a moment where you tell the coach. And I know he's been going through a little difficulty because the coach sometimes puts him in, takes him out. He has difficulties. He doesn't always start. You know, he has moments. And he was the main star. And then, you know, some other stars join the group. So I think it's more collective. And I think he has to be smarter. And with that much talent, don't let it go waste in stupidity like this.
Well, like I said, after the game, tempers did flare. And at one point, as you pointed out, when Vinny was subbed off, he was obviously angry. He looked like he went down the tunnel, but then he came back out.
No, he went down the tunnel. It didn't look like it. He went down the tunnel.
He came back out for a little post-match scuffle with the Barca bench, and he spoke about it. He said, look, the Clasico is like that. There are a lot of things happening on and off the pitch. We try to maintain a balance, but it's not always possible. We didn't want to offend anyone, not Barca players nor the fans. We know that when we step onto the pitch, we have to defend our side. And that's how it was today. Shaka, once again, we're talking about Vinny Jr. taking all the wrong sorts of headlines. What did you make of both incidents?
Well, of the first incident, first of all, in being substituted, like, at first, let me just say, I was as surprised probably as Vinicius was that his number went up. I thought he was playing outstandingly, so to see his number go up came as a bit of a surprise. You sympathize with the initial reaction. He's not the first player to be disappointed in being substituted. I'm sure he won't be the last. But then once it continues and the little storm down the tunnel and the extra histrionics on the bench, you just want Vinny just to calm down. Because again, we are talking about one of the best players at arguably the biggest club in world football in what is, in my mind, the biggest game in world football. So, of course, there are a lot of eyes that are going to be on you. Now, keeping in mind, this is not his first meltdown, I say in inverted commas, against Xabi Alonso being substituted. So he has to be, if we are to believe that Vinicius Jr. continues to mature, and I think in so many ways he has, these are things that he has to cut out of his game. I will also add that Real Madrid as a club probably have boosted Vinny to the point where he thinks he's beyond reproach. I still haven't gotten over that Ballon d'Or thing that I'm still harking on that. But they've kind of...
You okay?
I'm just saying, you do that, and then you can't be surprised when Vinicius feels and acts as though he's the biggest thing at the football club. That comes with the territory, and that's the club's doing. That being said, so now somebody has to bring him back down to earth. And in all honesty, it seems Xabi Alonso is exactly the man, given his record, both as a player and as a manager, to do that. As a Real Madrid player, most of the point in this instance. So Xabi Alonso, I think, continues to handle himself and handle his situations as well as anybody could, and needs to be applauded for that. The spillover after the game, I'm less critical of any of the Real Madrid players in that regard. Kind of given, and listen, I understand the context to Lamine Yamal's comments.
Yeah.
I understand that Lamine Yamal is still a teenager and will probably need to learn and grow from that as well. But having been in dressing rooms, you know, you take any excuse, anything that's said to pin up on the notice board and use as motivation to interpret as disrespect.
Yeah.
And while it may not have been intended that way, I totally understand why Real Madrid and their players take it that way. Because if it were me and I were in that dressing room, that's exactly what would be done as well. And then, given the emotions of that game, as I say, in my mind, the biggest club game in world football, given the emotions of it, given everything, again, last season coming into this one, I totally understand the reaction of Real Madrid players, and I am not. I'm not at all critical of some of that spillover.
No, and this is not specific to just El Clásico. This is not specific to Real Madrid, Barcelona. This sort of behavior you would have in any sport, anywhere in the world at any level. If you have somebody from the other team run their mouth ahead of the game, and then come game time, your team beats that guy's team, you're going to let him know, take it, take it, take it, eat it, take it. Yeah, keep talking, buddy. Keep talking. Oh, you're still talking? Okay. That I have no issue whatsoever with. And I heard some of the conversation about Frankie de Jong saying, well, maybe Dani Carvajal could tell him this in a phone call. And I'm like, no. The moment is now. Now. We just beat you. The moment is now. And I'll let you know that I just beat you. I don't need a phone call to let you know that I just beat you and I just kicked your backside. This is the moment to let you know. In front of all these people. You talk, now listen. And listen to me.
Look, we all been through this. And I think I do have to agree with what the guys are saying. You know why? Because when someone goes at you, like Yamal, he's a young boy. But regardless of he's a young boy, he still affects the situation. So it comes up. It won't surprise me if the manager maybe, highlighted it in the dressing room and then to spark the players to get them going. Because, this is things that happens. We all know that. Every footballer cannot tell me that a coach came into the dressing room and literally on one of the biggest games highlighted what the other opponent said about the team or whatever. So I also heard a story of Guus Hiddink, who was the coach of Madrid for a long time. He said it himself. He said, this game, why this is so big and why Shaka said this is arguably one of the biggest games in world football. Why? Because it's also a political debate what's going on. So we don't want to go on there, but I'm just saying this is much bigger, and when this happens, those players stand in the dressing room, oh man, you're fired up. And then after the game, when it kicks off, look how many players that were not even starting were coming on the game, on the field, trying to, get involved in the argument. So this is now, man, football. I'm happy that the Clasico is that fiery. Why? Because I don't want them to fight. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see that fighting stuff, but I definitely want to see some spies in big games.
Oh, Mario loves it. He loves the drama. Luis, I know you're not a very dramatic person, but Vinny Jr. now has pretty much one season left on his contract. We spoke to Alex Kirkland earlier on about this, and he did mention that there is the feeling there in Spain that your boy Xabi is not necessarily Vinny's #1 fan. And as Shaka pointed out, he has been really good at man management, especially managing Vinny in this one. But if these antics continue and if what we're hearing is true, do you see Xabi and Real Madrid putting up with Vinny much longer than this one season?
I'm not in Xavi's mind. I don't know what they're going to do, but of
up.
course he's not helping.
Call him up, Luis. Call him.
He's not helping. Of course, this kind of behavior is not helping. He's my buddy. No, but this kind of behavior is not helping. He's not helping because what Xavi is trying to build is a strong team. It's a strong squad, a team that collectively can win trophies, can be strong for many years, and you're trying to make everyone important. I need every single one of you. Brahim Diaz hasn't been involved, but now I need it for the Clasico. Players into the midfield that haven't been involved, like Camavinga, now I need him. I'm going to use him because everyone is important, and every single time that you're going to use it and I'm going to replace, you're going to put me in trouble. I don't want behaves like this near me because that's not something that is going to help me. When you have a routine apple, what you have to do into the basket and remove it and continue and buy more, because that's what is going to happen. But listen, guys, what I don't understand about this situation is, and I totally agree with you, you talk, I win, I give you the talking. Yes, now you take it. But listen, why is Vinny Jr. facing Lamine Yamal? I win, I'm laughing, I'm joining, and you talk to me and I say, yeah, but to what? Why is Vinny Jr. so angry at Lamine Yamal and wants to rush at him and wants to run? I would like to see that no one else hold him. Everyone moves around, and I want to see him running. What is he going to do? What is he going to do? It's like...
Luis wants to see a fight.
Maybe he's going to bet him on his back. He's going to bet him on his back. He said, I like you as a player.
Hold me back.
You as a player.
Hold me back.
Wait a minute. So, I agree with what Luis is saying, right? All right, you want to fight? Go ahead and fight. But,
you mean the total?
But wait a minute. But Lamine Yamal was doing the same things. Like, I'll see you out. He was like, I'll see you outside. And if you take that angle as to who was in front of him is Thibaut Courtois, who's about this. This
Hold
guy,
me back.
yeah, this guy doesn't even fit in the tunnel. And this is the guy that you're gonna fight? Come on, man.
Boy.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Well, one of the bright sparks about Real Madrid is just the form that Kylian Mbappe has been in. And Mario, I'm coming to you because as a defender, when he's playing like that, when he's running at you like Kylian Mbappe does, how do you even defend that?
Look, we talked about the high line, you understand, of Barcelona. When the player that has the ball has so much time, you understand, to look up, he turns around and then looks and he sees him kicking off. You know, as an individual, you know that's what you play on. If you play together with someone like Mbappe, you're going to use his best qualities, and he's going to tell you to. Because if Bellingham didn't give him that ball, he would have told him, like, why don't you slot me in? And as a defender, you got to run earlier than the guy that's quicker than you. And if you don't do that and you hold your high line, one day it's going to crack, eh? Okay, you can do it one time, you know, and then, okay, maybe he's offside the second time. But it's going to come a moment where you look up, boom, there is no pressure. When there is no pressure on the guy with the ball, that's for any footballer. It doesn't matter what level you play in, no pressure on the ball, back off. Because if there is no pressure, that means that the guy on the ball can see everything. And if you then stand and wait, the guy that's next to you that's quicker, he's going to run you.
Here's the issue with that for me, and we've spoken about this Barcelona highlight, right? And Hansi Flick insists on playing with it.
Yep.
And to Mario's point, you understand, okay, there's, as a defender, the guy's quicker than you, start to run before the other guy. But it's Kylian Mbappe, and how quick he is. How early do you have to start to run at this point? You know, and
Very early.
So are we talking about current players or you?
Well, I stand as good a chance as those players there. And I mean, even in that goal, all right, he starts his run. Look at how much space he has by the time he collects his ball. Unless you adjust, and Hansi Flick is not, unless you adjust that starting line, that starting defensive line, you're just offering Kylian Mbappe or someone with his pace, it's just too easy. And Hansi Flick refuses to budge. They got away with it last year. This year, not so much.
What Hansi Flick will tell you in that specific play is that as Bellingham is turning away from Pedri and Fermin Lopez is dropping underneath to try to help defensively, that one of those guys has to force Jude Bellingham to play the ball back. That would be the pressure on the ball that was missing in that particular play, but has been missing from Barcelona, I would say, the whole season. The consistency of pressure on the ball. The key to this high line is putting pressure on the ball, closing down the space so that when the player that has the ball doesn't have time to go, oh, well, should I play it there? Should I play it here? No. So that he sees the pressure coming, and that means he's putting the head down. He's more concerned about this pressure than he is about finding the penetrating pass. If they don't put pressure on the ball, it could be you running through, Shaq. You're getting in behind. Everybody's running in behind. And I say that as a joke, but think about some of the players that have been...
No joke.
Think of some of the players that have run in behind. And think about the game against Sevilla, and think about the game against Girona, in which if you just time it well, there's no pressure on the ball, you will find all of that space readily available. If they're not going to change that, the one thing that you have to have is players that are going to pressure the ball and force the possession to go backwards, not forward.
All right, well, Kylian Mbappe, definitely one of Real Madrid's hardest working players. And one of our hardest working players is...